today. Thank you very much for registering for this webinar presented by Meirc Training and Consulting and discussing a really important topic that is now becoming of paramount importance for all professional people. You know, we are always asked to reach the peak of our productivity, get the best out of our working time. Some a little bit old paradigms were about whether professional life should be separated from uh, personal life. Can a person give 100% productivity? What is 100% productivity? And would it be only by stretching a little bit your performance objectives or being able to focus for a long period of time? It's really a matter that needs to be cleared out for every professional that works nowadays in this challenging market. And we say challenging not only because the financial conditions of the market are changing, but because the market is becoming very dynamic. What is true today can really become 100% false in a couple of years or 10 years down the road. Some information that we rely our decision on can be irrelevant in a couple of years. So, you know, it's not really obvious. It's really a little bit um, uncertain in the future. So that's why what we're going to do in this webinar is to focus on how a person himself can look at his own or her own productivity at work that is certainly related to what happens in our personal life. So at Merck, we came up with a model that presents 5 elements. If you can master them, you will reach a very high level of productivity on day-to-day basis in your job. And that's really important because it starts from you. It only starts from the way you yourself design your productivity strategy. Because as we speak to people, we hear lots of people saying, yes, I want to be productive, but that person is not helping, the system is not helping, the tools are not there, etc. So we need to start by knowing that this webinar is going to focus on our day-to-day choices that are 100% within the reach of our hands. No one has to do really with our productivity, at least from the angle we discuss it in this webinar. So again, welcome. My name is Rabia. I am a management consultant in Meirc Training and Consulting, and we will be introducing each other's in a while. However, just let me test if your chat box is working. So would you allow sending a small hi or a small note on the chat box that you have so we can make sure that you can hear us well and you can see the visuals well so far so we can kickstart our webinar. Let's allow 30 seconds for this small test and then we will start accordingly. So let's go. So this webinar is a snapshot of a 5-day course that we are presenting at Merck, which is called 5 Productivity Traits for Optimal Results. And as I was saying, we have come up with a formula that is called the super formula for top performers. So as you can see, it's a little bit telling us about what's going to happen in this course, in these 5 days. And accordingly, this is a small introduction that would help you as well take some key information that hopefully it will help you during your day-to-day challenges in the workplace and also will give you some tips, hopefully. And the main important objective of our seminar today is to assess our current productivity level. For that, we will ask ourselves about 5 aspects or 5 elements that we have within our hands and check how well we are doing on each aspect. So before that, for those of you who are new to Merck training and consulting, let me just brief you a little bit about our company. So we have started our business in 1958 and today we are celebrating our 61st anniversary in the market, serving clients across the GCC and the Middle East region. The company started in an office in Beirut and then moved to the headquarters in Dubai in 1991. Jessica, thank you very much for the congratulations. It's really appreciated from your side. And till now, the company is serving a large variety of business sectors, of governmental sectors, of public sector, and of NGOs as well. The courses that we are offering right now cover more than 200 topics offered in English and in Arabic across lots of countries. And if you would like to know more certainly about our courses, you can just go to www.merc.com and check our upcoming courses and calendar. In 2014, we have established a specialty training division called Plus that offers industry-specific and function-oriented trainings. And these courses are also developed and delivered by subject matter experts in their field. The company stands for 5 values that we have always tried to live up for in order to make sure that we serve our clients. Mastery, excellence, innovation, reliability, and client centricity are the core drivers for all the initiatives and all the services that Merck provide. And as you can see, they stand for the abbreviation of the company name, which is Merck. A little bit about myself. As I told you before, my name is Rabi'. I'm a management consultant in Merck Training and Consulting. I've been in the consultancy business now for 19 years. I started in Lebanon, then I handled a group of 2,000 plus employees in Saudi Arabia for for a quite good period of time, and then I moved back to Lebanon to handle a position for group learning and development manager for a large group in Lebanon, having manufacturing, pharmaceutical, cosmetics, FMCG, technology, and retail and fashion. That's a little bit about myself. I don't want to bother you more about my details. My technical expertise is mainly in human resources, in talent development, and learning and development. So without further ado, let's start with a little bit of information about this course. So let me ask you, just think about it, and if you have some answers, just send it to us in the chat box. And just allow me to welcome as well Zena and Omar, who just joined this webinar. Welcome and hope you enjoy. So just from the top of your mind, how can you recognize a top performer? How do you know that this person you're looking at in the workplace is a top performer? Can you just think of some very obvious characteristics or descriptions that would distinguish a top performer right away in the workplace? Now that's good. Someone who achieves the set targets, that's good. Now certainly This also depends on how the targets are set, but this is another matter. Thank you very much. Maruf is saying achievements, and yes, what you're saying is absolutely right. Results is one of the outcomes of top performers. However, if you think about the characteristics, how you can identify somehow the behaviors or the traits of these guys. Omar, what you're saying is also absolutely true. Being a team player is a characteristics of top performer. Yes, absolutely, because anything that is achieved at top level usually requires more than one person, and that's why the ability to build a set of key partnerships in the workplace would be a characteristic distinguishing a top performer. Now, just to put what you said together and add a little bit to it, let me introduce you to 5 main characteristics of top performers on the job. So first of all, these guys are what we call recognized experts. Now, when we say recognized experts, it is already within these two words holding a very important aspect. First of all, when you are an expert, you're not an expert by your own measures. Others have to recognize you as an expert. And when others recognize you as an expert is something, and how do you know that others recognize you as an expert is also something very important. So I'll just give you a hint of when you become a recognized expert in a certain area or in your job. It is like your name becomes the second name for a certain expertise. So for example, if you want to repair your computer, there is someone in the organization that is the first person that comes to your mind to pick up the phone and call them. And sometimes these guys, they are not in the IT department. However, you recognize them as experts. Now, if people come to you for professional technical advice in specific areas, and they come to you often, and they leave your office with actionable ideas or with technical solutions, then this is a characteristics of top performer, and it means that you are becoming a recognized expert. So, just to spice up a little bit the discussion, by answering yes, no, or maybe, would you just please type an answer to the following question? Do you think you are a recognized expert in your organization for at least one technical area that is within your scope of work? Again, your answer needs to be yes, no, or maybe. So I'll type again the question in the chat box. So Maruf said yes, Jessica said yes. Congratulations, that's really nice. So the second characteristics distinguishing a top performer, these guys are focused. In other words, they really keep focus on the objectives and on the projects that they are working on. So when you see them, you can directly identify that these guys are in a mental state that are somewhere, although in the office, but they have moved mentally to a higher level of utilization of their brain, that are getting all their neurons focused on this single matter at hand, so they will be able to deliver on this. We're talking about focus here because with the technological advancement that we have experienced in the last 12 years, since the rise of smartphones, since the rise of social media, keeping focus is one of the main challenges in the workplace. So you get interrupted more than 40 times every day. And when you are interrupted, it means that you need to restart your focus again. And this means that your brain needs to go back to zero in terms of focus and go up the hill to climb to the climax of focus where you can deliver with expertise. So you have a challenge of interruptions, and also we have had a somehow myth about top producers, which I am really glad that no one mentioned in our discussion, which is multitasking. In fact, multitasking damages our brains because you cannot work on more than one thing in the same time. Now, this is proven by brain scientists, by neurologists, and it's somehow busting the myth that multitaskers are of higher productivity. Now, I know that women mainly have been, taking pride of being multitaskers. So it's not a gender issue here. The thing is, if you consider how the brain functions only with one task at a time. And that's why it's very important to keep focus. And this is also very important. The third thing that capitalizes on what Omar, I guess, say about being a team player, a main characteristic of top performers in the job is that they are relationship capitalizers. What do I mean by that? You know that relationships in the workplace need to be optimized. Why? Let's think about it when they are not optimized. Let me ask you a question. Just again answer me by yes or no. Are there some people that you prefer that they quit today their job, or they just move to another department so that your work becomes easier? Don't mention names, just say yes or no. Do you think that if these people would quit their jobs or work with another team, so your job will be easier and delivered faster with higher quality? What do you think? Again, don't mention names. Just say yes or no. Great. So some people say yes, some others say no. Let me ask you another question. Do you believe that sometimes when somebody asks you for something from the workplace, you tend to delay this request or try to give this request to someone else just to avoid these people? Well, don't answer this question. However, what I'm trying to say here is that the relationships that we have in the organization are a mean for top performance. How? We're going to see this certainly later on. The fourth characteristic of distinguished performer is energy. And by energy here, we mean simply the physical energy. In other words, this guy don't show signs of being tired during office hours. This is directly related to performance, because if someone has no energy, no matter how expert they are in their field, no matter how focused they are, they will not be able to deliver. The last and also samely important thing or characteristic about top performer is that these people are aligned. What do you mean by aligned? They focus their efforts, their energy, their development plans, their mental creativity towards objectives that not only serve their own performance objectives, but serve the performance of the department and the performance of the whole organization. Now, in an ideal situation, we all know that objectives need to be set in a way that they are aligned. However, in the practice, this is not always the case. Objectives still have some gray areas, performance management systems that are implemented nowadays in our market, in our organization, can be done in a better way and can be more aligned. And that's why it's very important that in the absence of a crystal clear objective and how they relate to departmental and organizational objectives, we are asked to be aligned. Now, another thing that I would like to discuss with you is the following. What are the personal benefits of being a top performer? In other words, for you as a person, how would you benefit yourself from being a top performer? Before answering the question, let me elaborate a little bit. Usually in our business, when we go to visit clients, when we discuss with participants in trainings, the importance of being a top performer, participant would directly say, what's in it for me? In other words, they will say, Rabia, you're asking us to do much when there is not much in return. And that's why I'm asking you to think, what are the personal benefits that you get from being a top performer? Why? Because being a top performer requires hard work, requires continuous work on your development. It requires lots of patience and lots of empathy to deal with people around you in the workplace. So, for doing all this, you need to know what are the benefits. So can you tell me some of the personal benefits that you and only you will get if you become a top performer in your organization? Thank you, Jessica. Great. It's a great balance between reality and aspiration. Yes, I will. Let me say one thing, because sure, you will have a higher chance of being compensated. Yet, it's not 100% guaranteed. You will have higher chance for sure, but just not to say that it's a it's a promise and it's a guaranteed promise for higher compensation, but it gives you a higher chance of compensation. But what I really like about what you said is that it's about a sense of fulfillment. In other words, when you don't use 100% of the talents that you have, 100% of the capabilities that you have, they will be lost with time. And some people may think that they are being fair to the company by doing less of what they can, just because the company is not giving them all what they ask for. But unfortunately, the biggest loser in this scenario is the employee, him or herself, because sometimes this kind of fulfillment will be lost with time, and then the enthusiasm to go further in your profession and in your career will be lost. Self-development, as Maruf said, is also very important. Yes, because the top performer is someone who doesn't stop to develop themselves to remain at the top, which is also absolutely important. Thank you very much for your answers. Let me share with you some of the benefits that you will get, and this is guaranteed. Okay, so what I'm saying here is guaranteed benefits from being top performers in your organization. First of all, as Jessica said, it's fulfillment or self-satisfaction. The second benefit is avoiding lost opportunities. Lost opportunities for development, lost opportunities for learning, lost opportunities for embarking a, a new adventure in your job because you were not at the peak by that time. Let me just have a small scenario with you. I met once a a branch manager for a bank in Kuwait a couple of years back, and he shared with me his story. He said when he was an expat, and when he came to Kuwait, he used to work in Burger King. And once when he was serving a client, the client asked for the burger without cheese for his little daughter. But he received the burger with cheese. He seemed upset, but he said nothing because this person thought to himself, okay, this is Burger King. It's a fast food restaurant. I will not expect that high level of service. And we're talking maybe 12 years back, so it was not a high level of service. But this guy, whom I met in the training, approached the client and said, sir, it seems like there's something that you don't really appreciate about your burger. How can I serve you? And this guy said, yes, in fact, I didn't want cheese, but that's okay. The participant did not agree and, in fact, ended up changing the burger for this client, who happened to be the president of one of the largest banks in Kuwait, and who offered this guy a job on the spot in the bank, and with time, this guy became a branch manager. So imagine if this person didn't feel like serving the client at top level on that day, that would have been a lost opportunity. Chances for financial benefits certainly are there. Another thing which is also important is professional security. In other words, this what guarantees that you stay for long in your position, in your organization, in your business, and that when the recession hits or tough times hits the organization, they will not think of you as the first person to leave the organization. You will have an organization reputation of a top performer. You will have more chances for career advancement, and certainly, as Maruf said before, you will have chances for continuous development. Now, great. Let's move to what are the 5 elements that will really help you become a top performer and consistently remain a top performer in your organization. So, as we said, it's a super formula, and that's why these 5 elements come from the super acronym that you're seeing on the screen right now. So let me ask you, can you guess what each letter stands for? S, U, P, E, and R. What are these elements that would guarantee that you will become a top performer in your organization? Let's take a wild guess. The U is a little bit tricky, but other ones are very important. So, and are somehow very common language that we use on a daily basis. So what do you expect these 5 words to be? Prepared, Omar, is like a is not an element. Maybe I understand preparation, but let's Let's go into the element side, not on Jessica. Productive is the end result of this element. Yes, because performance is about being productive. But these are elements that we have discussed a little bit, but in retrospective when we started. What do you think? Let's take another guess. As I said, most of them are common words. You is a little bit somehow sorted out because we have to come up with something that goes with super. So, any other attempt? Omar is typing something. Smart and sacrifice. Well, somehow you're getting closer. Getting closer. Would you like me to give you the answer? Okay, let's go. S is something related to expertise. You remember we discussed that a top performer is a recognized expert in the organization. So what is an element that is directly related to being a recognized expert? To become a specialist, you need to develop skills. So skills is the first one. The second one, as I told you, is a little bit tweaked out. It's uninterrupted time, and it relates back to the focus that we discussed. P is about something that we discussed in one question, which is people. E is energy, and R is relevance. So let me share with you these 5 very important elements. Excuse me, it seems that your slide is a little bit scrambled with lots of letter, but that's okay. Let me introduce you to the 5 elements of top performance: skills, uninterrupted time, people, energy, and relevance. So, how would this element be helping you? The first element, skills, is gonna lead you to a level of expertise that we call mastery. So remember, we said that top performers are recognized experts. So skills will lead you to mastery. Not just that you are good at doing something, but you are a master in doing that thing. And for that, there are some people that really discuss how you move from an apprentice to a specialist to a master of your craft. And one of them that I would recommend that you can use is a book called Mastery by Robert Greene. It's very important. So remember, we're not talking about just regular skills. We're talking about someone who's a master. Now, if you have seen lately a very nice ad by Lionel Messi and Mohamed Salah, the ad was for Pepsi, and they were somehow showing their football skills. Now, this is the level of mastery that we're talking about. Someone who can somehow blindfolded kick the ball and just get it in a small rim of no more than 50 centimeters. This is the kind of mastery that we are talking about. Uninterrupted time will give you focus, and as we said, it's a great challenge nowadays for us because let me ask you a question again, just to make a little bit this discussion more relevant. Do you usually, during the day, press the home button of your phone or the power button of your phone without your phone ringing or blinking or vibrating? So you just check your phone just to check if you have missed any notification? So imagine the scenario. Ma'ruf said yes. You have your phone next to you. Did not ring, did not blink, it did not vibrate. However, you just pressed the home button. Yes. Yes, Omar. It is a bad habit. And in fact, now it's not only a habit, it's a disease that has been identified by brain scientists. And it's something that also we discuss in our course that we deliver. And this is something really, really dangerous because what you're doing is a need for adrenaline rush, which is a hormone that you have and is controlled by the brain. And it will jeopardize your focus. And that's why you feel like you have to read an email 3 or 4 times in order to understand everything that is written. Sometimes, if you are reading an article, it happens to you. Sometimes, lots of mistakes that are committed when you are delivering something. People, as an element, will lead you to what we call responsiveness. And we have come up with the tool for that we call responsiometer, that helps you check that how much people who are vital for your performance are responsive to you when you ask them to do something, maybe to attend a meeting or to send feedback or to fill a survey or to answer a questionnaire or to finish on deadline, lots of things. The fruit of energy is enthusiasm. The vibrant like person that you will become when you have energy. But sometimes, unfortunately, we wake up in the morning and we don't have this level of energy. We feel like just snoozing the alarm, going back to bed, or maybe call it a sick day, getting late, getting stuck in traffic, and then arriving to the job with at least half of our energy left at home. And this certainly impacts your performance. And finally, relevance, which is our last element, will lead you to alignment, will lead you to working on those things that generate the highest amount of productivity for yourself, for your department, and for your organization. So, just before we go into the assessment on how you are doing on these elements, just let's share a little bit of feedback, maybe questions. What do you think about that so far? Are you a little bit getting some confusion about the model, or it's okay so far? Because after going for the quick self-assessment, I'm gonna reveal a very important element about these 5 elements that it will really bring some, I hope at least, bring some enlightenment to our discussion. So how's it going so far? Any questions that you have before we move on? Okay, great. So let's go and assess how are you doing on your first element, which is skills. So here I'm gonna share with you some indicators that will tell you that you score 100% on skills and you reach the level of mastery. I'm just gonna read, and between yourself, just pick up a piece of paper and write down your score on skills. Okay? out of 100. Don't share it. Share it if you like, but you're not obliged to share it. Just let me know, or when you're done, I will read these 6 sentences, explain a little bit, and then give you the time to score yourself on our first element, which is skills. So first, I'm a recognized subject matter expert by others. They refer to me whenever they have technical problems that is within my area of expertise, or they come to me for advice and they leave really with some actions that they can do in order to rectify what's going wrong with them. I can perform my job-related tasks with supreme quality, flawless, no mistakes, beyond expectations, and better than people around me. I consistently deliver beyond expectations. It's like I don't deliver beyond expectations once or once on a while. I consistently, every time I deliver, I exceed expectations and go beyond the goals that are set for the performance. I solve problems independently, no matter how complex they are. 5, I deliver faster, better, and more efficiently than people who are good in my area. And finally, I have the ability to teach others those job-related skills. So please write down how much you scored on skills. Please, when you're done, write on the chat box that you're done. Great. Let's move to the second element, focus and uninterrupted time. Colleagues respect my focus time. In other words, they know that they cannot interrupt me, neither for a coffee, neither for a question, and neither for an end of day chat because they just got bored and they just want to let go of these remaining 15 minutes before they punch out. Second, I have more than 50% of my time planned for the week to come. So I have a crystal clarity on how I'm gonna spend the 3 hours on Wednesday from 11 till 2 from now. 3, I can focus on one task for 2 to 3 hours non-stop. 4, I do not multitask high priority tasks. I don't work on very important projects simultaneously. 5, I have my own scoreboard of achievements. In other words, I have my KPIs or my yearly objectives in front of me on daily basis. I can know where I am versus what I aspire to achieve. And 6, I rarely look at my phone during the day, especially as we said before, if it's not ringing or if it's not vibrating or blinking. Again, I'll allow 15 seconds for you to write down just a percentage out of 100 for that. Element number 3 is people. And we're trying to develop responsiveness here. So the 6 indicators are the following. I have a positive relationship with key stakeholders of my tasks. Maybe it's the boss, maybe it's the production department, maybe it is the marketing department, maybe it is someone who prepares the room for my meetings, or the driver in the company, or a secretary in the supplier office. I don't know, someone who is key person so that I can deliver. I have a positive relationship with them. Second, stakeholders of my task respond quickly to my inquiries. They might sometimes make exceptions and bypass some unnecessary rules just to give me what I want in the time I ask for it. 3. Colleagues go the extra mile for me to make my job easier. So it's like I am on their high priority people list. 4. People can give me their feedback with full transparency, and it's a sign that I have built a trust relationship with them, and I can score 100% on this factor from people. Number 5 is also very important, and it's indicator that you have responsiveness, is how much people keep your promises that they give to you. In other words, they try to be as much as authentic, whether they say yes, we will deliver or no, but they keep the promises to you. And number 6, it's having a good reputation as a person in the organization. So in other words, if you are to overhear what people say about you during lunch or during breaks or whenever you are not there, do you assume that these kind of conversations are positive? And this is our third element. We move quickly to the fourth element, which is energy. It's very important, and also it's a very important challenge, because nowadays life is hectic, it's very demanding, it's very challenging to keep a high level of energy during the job. Number 1, I maintain a high level of energy throughout the whole day. In other words, a very straightforward example is the half an hour that you experience after having lunch. How focused you are, how energetic you are, how enthusiastic you are. Is digestion of your food getting you? Second, I do not need coffee, tea, or any energy booster to maintain my energy during the day. Now I understand it's a little bit tough, but this is the indicator for energy. I rarely get late to office because of oversleeping. I rarely get sick and take rest leaves. 5, I do not experience fatigue after lunch or take time to pick up my pace during the day. And 6, I do not experience mood swings that I cannot explain during the day. Omar, yes, my friend, no coffee, no tea, no energy boosters. This is a sign that you're having a healthy 100% energy, a healthy one. Yes, if you drink coffee, you will have 100% energy, but unfortunately, this will affect your system. And you know, your body and your being is something that is a magnificent machine, in fact. But yeah, you need an office in Tibet. That's what we all wish for, my friend. Great. So let's move to the last element, which is relevance. Number 1, I'm fully aware of my own objectives, my department's objectives, and my company objectives. And here allow me to share with you a very important statistics that I read in a study for Gallup, which is, one of the most reliable research centers across the globe. They said that, let me ask you this, a percentage. How many employees in an organization can correctly state their company's top 3 goals for the current year? Do you have any idea in percentage? What is the percentage of employees that can state their organization top 3 goals correctly? Take a guess and write it in the chat box. Maruf saying 30%, Jessica saying 70%, Omar is saying less than 50%. The answer is 15%. In other words, 85% of people work on day-to-day basis, hoping that what they're doing is helping the company, but they don't have a proof for that. The element number 2 is, I know how every task I do contribute to the goals of my company. 3, I work most of my time on tasks that help me achieve my objectives. In other words, I do not assume responsibility for low importance or no important tasks that come across. I do not just accept to do things without understanding how they are helping me and my organization achieve my task. I just say no to tasks that I don't understand why they are being asked. 4, I rarely work on tasks without knowing why they are important. I work most of my time on tasks that pushes my department and my organization forward to their objectives. And finally, I can clearly sort my tasks by order of priorities and importance. Remember, we're not just saying your own perception of these tasks, but we're talking about a 100% clarity on how these tasks are aligned with the tasks, with the objectives that you have personally, with the objectives that the department has, and the whole company has. So we're talking here about lots of alignment. I know that's somehow very difficult to score 100%, but just write down the score that you feel it's adequate for your case. So, by now, you should have 5 numbers in front of you, 5 percentages, in fact. Now comes the most important point that will help us wrap up this webinar. Let me ask you some questions. If on one day that you had to go to work, you felt very bad in the morning, health-wise, you were sick, and you couldn't go to the office, what would be your productivity on that day? From 0 to 100. Obviously, the answer is 0. Why? Because you did not go to work. So the productivity towards the organization and towards yourself is 0. So, what if you were working on something that is very nice, but is not important at all for the organization? How much your productivity would be on that day? 0. Again, imagine this very bad scenario. I hope that you never experience, but imagine that all your employees, all your colleagues are your enemies, how much would you get in productivity? In fact, it's going to be 0. It's very important. These questions are leading us somewhere that is very important. So, if you are very tired and you couldn't wake up, it means that on the fourth element, which is E, the energy, you scored 0. And because you scored 0 on energy, you scored 0 on productivity. Now, if you are working on something that you have very, very, very low skills, again, your productivity will be 0 because you'll make mistakes. So no matter how relevant this task is, no matter how energetic you are about it, no matter how many friends and people who you have in the company that are ready to go beyond for you, you're gonna be scoring 0 on performance. What if you're doing something that you're an expert at with 100% focus on Tibet, like Omar said? No one is interrupting you. People are trying to help you. However, this task is not important at all for the organization, neither for the department, neither for you. How much your productivity is going to be? Again, it's a 0. So here, let me reveal the formula of productivity. In fact, our formula states a multiplicative aspect. In other words, to reach a high level of productivity, any element in the formula that goes down to 0 will take all your performance to 0. And that's of absolute importance here because it's not an addition, it's a multiplication. So now, go back please to your 5 numbers that you had when we were scoring the 5 elements. Multiply them together and you will have somehow an average of your daily performance in the last 3 months. So I'll take an example. If all the elements were 50%, okay, so if all the elements were 50%, so you will have to multiply 0.5 by itself 5 times. And this means that the productivity that you are experiencing (3.125%). In other words, you are experiencing 3% productivity. Now, I know it's sad, and 3% is very, very, very low, but it tells us a lot about how much we might be losing in terms of our own productivity and our own benefits from becoming a top performer. Now, what's good is the following. If one of these 50%, Omar, yes, sure, I will repeat. In fact, the numbers that I asked you to write down about performance, you need to multiply them together, not add them together and make an average, because your productivity is the result of multiplying these factors. Why we know that? Because if any factor of these goes to 0, then your productivity will become 0 and your performance will become 0. So multiplying these together will give you an indicator, a very important one in fact, about how much productivity we are having on an average. You will be a little bit surprised with the result, but this again takes us back to think about how come that those people who we think of as very talented and very special, like Einstein, like Da Vinci, like Steve Jobs, like the guys that really disrupted our world as we see it today, what were their specific elements? How come? How different they are from what a regular person is doing on the job on day-to-day basis. Boiling it down, it comes to these 5 elements. So this brings us to the end of this webinar. I'll allow 5 minutes for questions or feedback if you would like to share some before thanking you again and saying goodbye until the next time. So please, if you have any questions or any comments that you'd like to share, go ahead and share it in the text box. Thank you, Jessica. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I hope you enjoyed the information and the discussion as well. Yes, my friend, external factors certainly will impact your performance. That's why in the beginning I said we're gonna only talk about the elements that are within your hands. Within your hands. I totally understand that you would have external factors like the management and the company and the communication culture that you have in the organization, and they will certainly impact your performance. But let's take it from another angle. These 5 elements that you have now on the screen, you are the only person responsible for developing them to the 100%. Your skills are your own responsibility. Well, you can say that my company is not sending me to training, but this is not an excuse for not developing yourself. Uninterrupted time, which is your focus, is within your own hand. Building good relationship with people around you, even your manager and your colleagues, your superior, your boss, your employees, is within your hands. Managing your energy is within your hand. You cannot expect that you stay late until, if you live in Dubai, for example, yesterday we had a Champions League championship and the game started at 12 midnight. So you do not expect that you see this game until 2:30 in the morning and then wake up with 100% energy. Neither the relevance. You can always ask people to be more clear on their objectives and to link it to the organization. I know it's challenging. I know it makes you feel, again, that you want to go to Tibet, but that's the truth. Great. So with that, I leave you. First, allow me to thank you very much for your participation, for being part of this webinar. I hope that you enjoyed this model. I hope that you got some benefits from it. Again, if you feel like you want to get all the tools that help you develop these elements, you are more than welcome to join us in the workshop that we are having, the super formula for productivity, the 5 traits for optimal productivity. All the information is available on our website, www.meirc.com. please feel free to visit us anytime. You will receive the support from our customer-centric service department. So thank you very much and looking forward to see you soon. Bye bye.
Meirc.com